We can call me Sergeant Marks, I guess. I'm trying to stay anonymous.
Okay, Sergeant Marks, where are you calling from? Or do you want to?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm from the Atlanta area.
Okay, good enough.
I'm a firefighter, EMT in the Atlanta area. I just kind of wanted to give you guys a perspective on the Elijah McClain case. It seems to me kind of like they're trying to, with the new autopsy just came out, they're trying to pin it maybe more on the paramedics.
Yes, that was my exact response as well. That was my thought as well.
Yeah, so the thing about ketamine is that it's a non-paralytic. It's not an opioid. It's not the same as fentanyl. It does not cause respiratory depression. And if you push IM, it might cause some transient apnea, but it's not going to cause respiratory depression. So it just seems to me like there's other contributing factors.
So they're trying to argue. They're trying to argue that it wasn't the. Are they trying to argue that it was the to giving him ketamine?
They essentially amended the autopsy report when he initially was killed. They said it was undetermined, and now they have determined that it was the ketamine that contributed to his death. But but that is more that's as you say. That I think the autopsy says specifically something about like what the paramedic application of it, as opposed to what led up to it with the police.
Yeah, well, they're trying to say that they gave him 500 milligrams of ketamine, right? Which the dosages for ketamine is kind of like it's not hard because it's a newer drug. So like you kind of go by weight and you go by kilograms. So it's about 6.5 milligrams to at least 13 milligrams per kilogram in adults. And medically, he's an adult. So you would look at him, and he weighed about 143 pounds, I think is what they said the final numbers were. That's about 64 kilograms. So it'd be in the ballpark of around 300-something milligrams of ketamine. But they're saying they gave him 500 milligrams of ketamine, but that would still be within the allowable. It goes up to 13 milligrams per kilogram. That's still within for IM push. Now you slow IM push. You're supposed to be slow about over a course of a minute, but it's not going to cause respiratory depression. 500 milligrams is not going to cause respiratory depression. Now that is a lot less than what they thought. They pushed it like he weighed 200 pounds, which is 90 kilograms. That's just something a lot of us do. It's easy. I weigh about 200 pounds. I'm about 90 kilograms. It's just a nice now round number. You know, most people weigh 200 pounds. So. But they, the dosages are always standardized in a way that assuming something like that isn't going to kill somebody. We'd be killing somebody every day. We'd be killing people all the time. So they just like and ketamine is I didn't like ketamine at first. Ketamine is I've come around on ketamine. It's a lot better than fentanyl. It's a lot better than other analgesics. It's not a paralytic. It doesn't cause respiratory depression. The most you're going to get is transient apnea. A lot of times you don't even have to intubate when you sedate with ketamine for excited delirium.
So
it just seems much safer.
And so, I mean, I would imagine. I mean, I have missed the reaction from attorneys, the family's attorneys, and stuff like that. I mean, are they refuting? Has there been any type of refutation about the idea?
I haven't seen anything about that. I try not to look at that because I don't want to be swayed just from my professional opinion on my initial read on it. Because a family, they're not medically trained. They might have opinions, and however valid they are.
Did the original?
They might not be medically accurate.
Did the original autopsy mention ketamine and dismiss it as a potential factor? I mean, or did they?
I believe the initial did not. It didn't mention any ketamine at all. And I forget what the initial cause, what they were saying was.
Undetermined, I think. Undetermined.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was undetermined. They said that it was undetermined and like, oh, this dude just keeled over, nobody's fault, that kind of deal.
Right.
And then they were like, oh, wait, they gave him ketamine. They kind of like found that out, that they gave him ketamine. And just off the rip, just hearing it and hearing the new amendment of the new autopsy report, it didn't sound right to to me. It did like 500 milligrams of ketamine. I guess it's a lot, but like, I mean, like it depends, you know. Then I found out that he weighed 64 kilograms, and they gave him, you know, an acceptable amount. It would be an acceptable amount. I mean, like, I guess in retrospective, maybe they should have gave him a little less. But I mean, it's like if they gave him like you know 600, 800, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, you guys messed up your math.
I'm getting
500.
Well, let me just to address the original autopsy. This is coming from the CPR.org news, a piece from just the other day that, in fact, ketamine was mentioned in the original autopsy. After McClain's death, Dr. Stephen Sina, contractor forensic pathologist at Adams County, completed the autopsy on September 3rd, 2019. Two Aurora police officers, two representatives from the Adams County District Attorney's Office in attendance. The 23-year-old African-American male, Elijah McClain, died of undetermined causes. The original autopsy said intense physical exertion and a narrow left coronary artery contributed to his death. Ketamine was mentioned at length in the original autopsy, but Sina deduced that it wasn't necessarily a factor in McClain's death. Toxology results noted in that original report was a ketamine level of 1,400 ng/ml. I wouldn't know what that means. You would have a better sense than I would.
Wait, what? That would just be the concentration, I believe,
right,
of the medication where they pulled it from.
It does sound, you know, I don't know. It sounds weird that one, coroner would, you know, measure the ketamine and decide that was determined that was not a factor in his death, and then another would come out and say that it was the factor in his death. It sounds a little bit suspicious to me.
Yeah, that's odd to me because the way that they check the dosages and stuff, it's all reports. It's all whatever the paramedic put in the report, and then they're going to check the stock and stuff of whatever's in the ambulance. I mean, ketamine has a half-life of like 180 minutes, I think. Like, you know, I don't know how they would even tell what's in the system by the time they got to the place. But it's you know, and also like just based off my experience being on scene with the cops about this kind of stuff, they get real pushy about sedation, and they call for it almost immediately. And like, you know, we've been asked to do it. My fire department, we don't carry that kind of stuff, and they know it, but we still get asked. We don't carry ketamine. We don't carry none of that, and they still ask us to sedate. And they give them a special sauce whenever our transport service comes over. They start asking them. So the cops are real quick to ask for sedation and stuff, and it's just like in the moment that these medics need to not allow the police to be the patient advocate. You're the patient advocate.
Right.
You need to do what's best for the patient, not allow the police to do it, because the police have a whole other set of priorities.
I should say that we're also getting an IM from IMer Todd Bevins. You can make this assessment better than I can, but he writes, ketamine can cause catecholamine's depletion. Catecholamine's are like epinephrine or adrenaline that controls your heart and breathing. If you give someone ketamine to someone who's already catecholamine challenged, i.e. someone in the midst of a massive panic attack fighting multiple people off them, you run a risk of causing cardiac arrest. I'm a paramedic and I've been using ketamine for 10 years. This caller is wrong. Ketamine can be dangerous at inappropriately high doses in the patients dealing with excited delirium. The Elijah McClain scenario has happened over and over again since. Paramedics giving a shit ton of ketamine to a smaller patient fighting cops, and they're dead 1 to 2 hours later. So
I mean, that could 100% be true. If he's a medic, he's pushed more analgesics than I have. But like, I'd have to read up about more exactly what his state was, because from what I saw, he was just trying to tell the cops, "Hey, I'm not doing nothing wrong." He didn't seem like he was actually he wasn't like actually freaking out.
Oh.
Like he was like, there was no reason for them to sedate him, is what my point is.
I see.
You know, he wasn't fighting. He wasn't in any kind of excited delirium in any actual psychiatric episode. he was just kind of, maybe, I don't know, his heart rate might have been up, but like, was he actually having a medical emergency? You know, I don't know. It didn't seem like that. And the dosages that I've seen on the thing, on the report, it didn't seem to me like it was something that you could place like, oh yeah, it was the medics murdered him.
Well,
you know,
I suspect we're going to hear. There'll be. We may hear. I don't know. We're going to hear from, I guess, some toxologists and some experts in this going forward. We'll pay attention to it. I appreciate the call.
No problem. Big fan. Left his best.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you.